here at City Hall. I will ask staff to now start recording. So this will be on YouTube. This is live streamed at the moment. So I wanted to say, first and foremost, thank you to the City of Wichita staff who've made this possible in opening up the chambers for this afternoon or evening meeting and get together. Before I begin, I want to recognize a few people who are here with us today. First and foremost, the three of us are the hosts of this town hall, a reimagined town hall. And so I want to say thank you to Sedgwick County Chairman Ryan Beatty and USD 259 Board President Diane Albert. Can you give them a round of applause? I also see multiple electeds from these three bodies. So if you're one of the electeds from city, county, or USD 259, can you please stand? And also want to recognize that County Manager Tom Stoltz is here in the room, along with City Manager, Assistant Managers, Troy Anderson and Dante Martin. So thank you. Well, today was a vision that I had of really bringing these three different elected groups together and have an opportunity to share with community some of the things that we as electeds have as a focus, but also an opportunity for you all to get engaged and involved in the conversation around shared services. First and foremost, I am proud to serve and honored to serve as the 103rd mayor for the city of Wichita, alongside 6 council members in what we call a council manager form of government. So if you did not get one of the pamphlets, I hope you will take one of these. This is something I created with comms department this year to really help explain how our local government works. A lot of folks don't know whom to connect with, and you have 6 council members who represent the 6 districts of our community, and I hope that you will connect with these individuals as you have specific concerns, ideas, or challenges in those districts. And really, throughout the last 2 years, year and a half now, we have been talking about the priorities of this city, and they're based off of a community-wide survey, and those priorities are crime, streets, economic development, and homelessness. And these 4 areas are our focus areas based off of what the community has said we should focus our energy on. And so I am grateful that we are, as a city, working towards those focus areas, but it requires multiple entities and organizations and groups of neighbors coming together to help solve these major challenges. When it comes to crime, crime prevention, public safety, these are all things that government can't do alone. And it requires us to be neighbors. So I'm really grateful to all of you for showing up today and being part of the solution. Here today, we're reimagining what a town hall is, thanks to what we have in our community, which is a world-renowned organization called Kansas Leadership Center. And so in a little bit, Kansas Leadership Center will be able to facilitate this reimagined town hall. And I am very grateful to KLC and what you do here for our community and for our greater community in the United States and around the world. So give them a round of applause. Last but not least, there was a handout that was also given out at the front. These are just some of the things that the city, county, and USD 259 have worked on throughout the years, but then opportunities for discussion, and that's what this is really about. Opportunities to see how we can better work together, and I actually see City Manager Bob Layton there. Sorry, I did not recognize you until now. Give him a round of applause. So again, thank you all very much for coming here for this Wichita Community Town Hall, and I will now pass it on to Chairman Ryan Beatty.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I appreciate the invitation and the opportunity to join this. I'll be brief because I want to turn this over to KLC to get started in the implementation of this interactive town hall. But tonight for me, if I was defining success, there's 3 aims for me and my involvement here. The first is I really want to promote more communication and more community involvement. And what I think we need to promote with the communication side of this, it's communication between local governments, local government leaders, but communication between the local electeds and the constituents that we're representing. I'm not saying that we're not doing a good job of that. I'm just saying we could always do better. In today's society and in our community, more communication, not less, is needed. So this is really a signal that we need to invite more communication and more collaboration into the room and promote environments where that can happen. So that's the first one. The second one for me is really trying to identify gaps and opportunities. You're tonight here, you have Sedgwick County government, 525,000 people that make up our county. You have the city of Wichita, the largest city in the state of Kansas, and you have USD 259, which is the largest school district in the entire state. We're also your 3 largest property tax mill levies on your property tax bill. So what we do is we perform a lot of service for this community. We need to identify the opportunities where we can not just share more services, but offer more supports in this ecosystem. We also need to identify gaps. Where are there identifiable gaps that we can work together better in partnership to better serve the people of this community? The third thing, and for me, really most importantly, is every single decision that we make in regards to what's happening in this community, every policy, we need to have synergy with the goals of our other partners. We need to understand what the goals are at the city of Wichita. We need to understand what the goals are with USD 259. And in my view, and this is just my view only, not the view of the county commission, I think every policy, every strategic initiative should have some connecting line back to how is it impacting the families and the kids, which are our future in this community. We have a lot of conversations between the city of Wichita and Sedgwick County government. I think we've had 3 or 4 en bancs in my 2.5 years since I've been in office. This is the first time where USD 259 and a representative has been at this table. And in my view, it's necessary. These children are our future. They're our future. And we need to be aligned and have synergy in our goals and our strategies to make sure that we are preparing a future that will be prosperous and healthy for all of us. So I'm excited to listen. I'm excited to learn, to collaborate, and to explore ideas that we can really move our community forward. So Mayor, thank you for the opportunity to join. And this is Diane Albert. She's the president of the school board.
Thank you, Chairman. My name is Diane Albert, and I am president of the USD 259 School Board, and I'm honored to be here and spend the evening with you guys. I have really nothing else to add to what you guys have already said, and like Mr. Beatty had said, we want to hand this over to the Kansas Leadership Center to get started. The one thing that I do think we all agree on is a major part of leadership is creating an environment where we can discuss complex issues and come up with solutions together. And that is really the goal of this evening. And so I'm grateful that you guys are here. I'm grateful that you're willing to spend time with us and to dive into some complex issues, because complex issues are not solved by platitudes and talking points. They're solved by a meeting of the minds. And so that's really what we're here to do tonight. And I thank you, and I'm grateful for your presence. Thank you.
Again, thank you very much, President Albert and Chairman Beatty. Without further ado, we will now pass it on to Kansas Leadership Center for this session.
Thank you for the kind introduction, Mayor Wu. So, hello, I'm Sean Rojas. I'm on staff at the Kansas Leadership Center. And for those of you that don't know what the Kansas Leadership Center is, we're a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization that cares about creating stronger, healthier communities here in Kansas. So we don't take any policy stances. We don't advocate for policies. We don't take positional stances. What we do care about are people making progress and getting Kansans together to help tackle the toughest challenges. So you'll never see something from KLC that says vote here or vote this way. We care about process, and we aren't experts on any singular issue, but through KLC, most of what we do is leadership development, leadership training, and community process like we're doing tonight. So I will hand this over to my colleague Jason to take us through some process, and we'll get started now.
Good evening, everyone. It's so wonderful to be here with you all. My name is Jason Bosch, and I serve as a leadership developer at the Kansas Leadership Center. So what that means is I spend most of my time teaching, facilitating conversations like this, doing one-on-one leadership coaching with folks, and developing curriculum in our leadership development programs. So I will be back up here at the mic with you in just a moment to kick off our conversations this evening. But before I do that, we've got one more KLC team member here supporting us this evening who I'd like for you to have the opportunity to meet.
Hi, everyone. Glad to be here with you. My name is Emily Speak. I've been at KLC for 1 year. I help to execute programs there. I love supporting my community and showing up for events like this. So thanks for having us.
All right, so I want to put back before the group some words that our elected officials shared that really stuck out to me. We heard the word reimagined, a reimagined town hall this evening. We heard the word interactive to describe our town hall this evening. And we heard the words meetings of the minds. And I think that is such a great characterization of what we're hoping to do here with you all this evening. I was trying to think about, like, how would I describe what we're attempting to do tonight that might be a little bit different than what you expect when you walk into a space like this. And the first thing that came to mind for me was my parents' basement. So I spent 13 years living in the same home on the north, just outside the northwest side of Wichita here. I'm a lifelong Wichitan. And growing up, my parents' basement was set up a certain way. And in the front of the room, we sort of had this entertainment center, and it had a TV. For a while, we had one of those old box TVs in the wooden shell. Some of you remember those TVs. And we had some speakers, and I had the original Nintendo system. And all of this was sort of set up at the front of the room, and all the furniture in my parents' basement was sort of oriented toward the entertainment center. So when you walked into that space, the space sort of said to you, everybody sit and sort of face the same direction and pay attention to whatever's happening at the front of the room. I left Wichita for a number of years, and when I came back and walked back into my parents' basement for the first time after having been gone for a number of years, they had totally redesigned the space. And instead of furniture all sort of facing towards the front of the room, as if to say, come here, don't talk to each other, watch the Nintendo or the movie on the TV, they had bought all new furniture, and they had rearranged the furniture into this sort of half moon shape around the fireplace. Different setup, different purpose. So I asked my mom, what is this all about? And she said, well, we redesigned the space for a different purpose because we want a different type of engagement in our basement here. We want people to come in, family members and friends to come into our home, and we want them to sit and face each other and engage with each other. And that's kind of what we're asking you all to do with us here tonight. This space is set up for sort of typical use. And those of you who've been engaged in this space before are used to coming into a space like this and expecting a certain type of process. And we're going to ask you to sort of play with us tonight with a little bit different type of process that taps into the collective wisdom that's in this room. I truly believe, you all made a choice to be here tonight, right? There's many other things that you could have been doing, Riverfest activities or otherwise, and you chose to be here, to be engaged around this conversation. So I really believe that there is collective power and collective wisdom in this room to help us, help our elected officials figure out how do we collaborate better together. Maybe there's areas we're collaborating already between the city and the county and the school district that maybe could be enhanced. Or maybe there's gaps, as Chairman Beatty said, maybe there's gaps that we need to identify, new opportunities for collaboration, for sharing services that really benefit our community in a meaningful way. So I'm inviting you to lean into a different type of meeting and a different type of conversation with us this evening. So what does that look like? sort of walk you through our process for this evening, and then we'll get into some conversation. So this will happen in 3 parts. And in the first part here, we're gonna have what we're calling a facilitated conversation. The purpose of a facilitated conversation is we want to engage you in some discussions with each other, with us, with our elected officials, to identify what key areas of collaboration and shared services the city, county, and or school district could consider, and then have a little bit of conversation about why. We might name some opportunities that we see for more collaboration, for better collaboration, and we also want to have some conversation about why are those areas important to consider. How we will do that, we'll start off with a little bit of individual reflection. Hopefully when you came in this evening, you grabbed a pen and some note cards. If you didn't, when we get ready for this part of the exercise, we'll come around and pass out those materials to you. But we'll give you an opportunity to capture in writing some of your ideas, because we'll want to collect those and provide those back to our partners. We'll have some conversations in pairs. We'll get into some small groups for some brief small group discussion. And then we'll really have some community discussion together to identify what are those areas that we're going to ask our elected official partners to consider to either generate new collaborations or enhance existing collaborations. That's sort of the first part. Then, after we've sort of decided as a group some of the key areas that we think are worthy of consideration for collaboration or sharing services, we'll get into some groups and we'll really start to dig into each of those areas. And we'll think about 2 things. One, like how would these entities collaborate? What would it look like? What ideas do you have for ways to share services in efficient and effective ways? And we'll talk about potential barriers. So what are some things that the city, the county, the school district might need to be paying attention to, potential barriers that could get in the way of effective collaboration? Our process for that will be primarily to do some small group work together and then some report and share outs to the large group. Now, at this point, I imagine there could be some people in the room thinking to themselves, this isn't what I showed up here for tonight. I just want to acknowledge that and name it. That's valid, that's real. I want to invite you to lean into this process and have these conversations with us, because we're only going to get whatever good information tonight that you all help us to generate together. So if you don't want to lean into the small group and the conversations, totally cool, your choice, but my invitation is to really lean in and let's have some community conversations this evening. And then we'll wrap up our time this evening with just a little bit of a debrief. We'll sort of reflect on the process that we used this evening, and we'll think about what are some next steps moving forward that we might ask our elected officials to consider based on all of the great ideas that we're going to generate here this evening. So that's what we're up to between now and 7 o'clock. I'd like to just offer some norms for our conversation. Some things that we at the Kansas Leadership Center think contribute to good, healthy, productive civic dialogue. So we'll ask you to lean into these norms this evening. One, we're here to share perspectives. We're here to hear from you. So I want you to share your perspectives. We want you to share your perspectives. And we want to allow space for others to share theirs. So this is really about creating a space where we can get as many voices, as many ideas out there as possible for consideration. We'll ask that you keep your conversations, whether it's in your small groups or conversations we have in the large group, we'll ask you to keep the conversations focused on opportunities and challenges, not to talk about individuals. It can be easy sometimes when we're talking about really important civic issues that we might have concerns about, to start talking about the people who are involved in those challenges. And we want to really keep our conversation focused on the issues and what we can do about them. We know we have challenges in our community. Our purpose, our hope tonight is that we're generating possibilities. We're helping our partners to identify paths forward. 3, be curious about others' perspectives. I am certain that not all of us in the room are going to have the same points of view on what our partners might consider for shared services. So we want to invite you to be curious, hear others' perspectives, and again, we're here to generate ideas and possibilities. We're here to bring forth our best ideas for our partners at the city, the county, and the school district to consider. And we're going to hold the time boundaries. So as I facilitate this process with us this evening, I'll give some really specific time boundaries for how long you have to talk in small groups, how long we have to talk in a large group, and just know that at KLC, we like to hold to those time boundaries. So at some points, you might hear me hop up on the mic and say, okay, let's wrap up the conversation. Or we love our beautiful chime at KLC, so you might hear this noise that will signal we're going to wrap up our conversation and move on to the next piece. Okay, so hopefully you've got some sense now of what to expect as we go forward, how we're reimagining this town hall, how we're going to make it interactive, and how we're going to have a meeting of the minds here to bring forth the best ideas. So I just want to remind us that our purpose, our focus here this evening is to help our elected officials from the city, the county, and the school district come up with ways that they might better collaborate and or share services and resources for the community. So all of our conversations are sort of oriented around that purpose. It's really about identifying opportunities and gaps around collaboration and shared services among the 3 entities. So with that, I've done a lot of talking. I want to get us into our conversation here this evening. As we were preparing for this evening, we had some email exchanges just sort of talking about how we were going to approach this evening and the kinds of collaboration opportunities that we might be looking for. And so I put up here some of the possibilities that were elevated in our email communication with the city, the county, and the district. Not to say that this is where our conversations need to go, but these are just like the types of opportunities that we might consider. Things like mental health services, things like planning and code enforcement, things like school resource officers, Future Ready Center collaborations, or how we serve youth in the foster care system. So I offer these not to say this is where we're going to focus our conversation, but just to give you a sense of these are the types of opportunities, concerns, challenges that we might have some conversation around about how we collaborate and share services. What we really want to know is, what do you see as those opportunities for collaboration? So here's where I'd like to start. If you have that pen and note card, I'll ask you to grab that now. If you didn't get a pen and note card, you can hold up your hand and we'll come around and get those materials to you. And I'll ask you to take a moment and respond to this question on your note card. What is an area of collaboration or a shared service that the city, county, and or school district could consider? I'll ask you to write 1 idea per note card. If you've got 10 ideas, great, we'll get 10 note cards to you, okay? So you're gonna write down on a note card, what is that area of collaboration or that shared service that you think 2 or more of these entities might consider? And then you might jot down under your idea which of the 3 entities might collaborate. Maybe your idea is for a shared service between the city and county. Write that down under your idea. Maybe your idea is about a collaboration between the district and the city. Let us know which parties you think ought to be collaborating around whichever idea you write on your card. So we're getting some more cards around. I'm going to hold about a minute or so of silence here to give you an opportunity to get your ideas down on some note cards, and then we'll go from there. Yep, I'll come to you in just a moment. One thing I do want to say is we would like to collect all of these note cards at the end of the evening. The purpose is so that everybody's ideas get documented. So we'll collect the note cards. We're going to type all of those up, and we're going to provide that feedback back to our partners. So just know we'll be asking you to turn those in at the end. With that, did you have a question, sir?
Yeah, I feel like we're on the Titanic and we're talking about deck chairs.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. That's valid. We're going to hold to our purpose of keeping our conversation focused around that this evening, but I do appreciate that. Sure. Thanks for the feedback. Yep. Thank you. Okay. I'll be quiet for a moment here, give you a chance to think and reflect on those note cards, and then we'll move on to the next part of the process. We'll get some more note cards around to you. One per card, but you're welcome to take as many cards as you want. We can pass some more out if you need them. Okay, so I'm gonna take some of the chatter as a sign that we're ready to get in some discussion. So what I'll ask you to do first is turn to a person, maybe two people, sitting next to you. And let's take about 5 minutes to have a conversation with someone sitting next to you about the ideas that you wrote down, sort of broad areas of collaboration or shared services. And the second thing, I'll ask you to talk about what you put down, but also why is that important to you? Maybe you had some lived experience connected to the thing that you wrote on your card. Maybe there's some unique perspective you have on that issue or that opportunity. So take about 5 minutes with a partner, talk about what areas of collaboration you named and why those are important to you. Okay. I hate to interrupt your conversations, but I want to keep us moving forward here. If you ended up getting into a group of 4, 5, maybe 6 people, for this next piece, I'll just ask you to continue your conversation with that small group of 4 or 5. If you talked with one person, I'll ask you to find another pair or another 2 or 3 folks next to you and pair up so that you are now in a small group of maybe 5 to 6. So what we're going for here, our next move is to have some conversations in groups of 5 or 6 instead of 2 or 3. This time, what I'll ask you to do is, if the people that you're talking to are not new partners in your group, give those folks an opportunity to briefly share their ideas. But my ask of you in this next piece is to identify what, if any, common ideas or themes are you hearing within your small group, okay? So everyone has their individual ideas on a note card that we will collect later on, so everyone's ideas get documented and shared back. And in this next small group conversation, we're trying to see, is there a theme? Is there a commonality? Is there an area of collaboration that maybe 2 or 3 or 4 people in your group have all named, okay? So we're starting to look for what themes might be emerging in some small groups. Just to let you know where we're going next after that is I'll ask for small groups to share out with us any of those themes or common responses that you heard in your group, because we want to capture those up here. So just know that's where we're headed next. So let's take about another 5 minutes here in some groups of 5 to 6 and see if there's any commonalities in what you identified. there's two options here. One is we scribe everything up here, and then we translate it to those, which means we either need to take a break or I need to do something to fill time. Another option is, this is maybe a little riskier, one of you could be scribing up here, and the other one could be scribing back there as we go. The thing that I'm uncertain about with that option is that I don't know how many actual ideas that we're going to end up with, because we think they're about really small groups, and there could be some overlap, or there could be 16 distinct ideas. Trying to see if maybe there's a way to eliminate having to take a break for us to go around. Can you try that? Will you come over? Will you try it? So you can describe the list and then we'll number them. Because what I'm going to ask is, as subsequent groups are going, like the fourth group, the fifth group, I'm going to ask them if there's any of the themes they identified in their small group that's not already up there, so that we're not getting duplication. Well, I like the idea, but then how do we let people know what that is and how to get it that person? Okay, are you ready? Okay, you ready to start? Okay, folks, I'm going to bring our attention back together. I'll bring our attention back together here. And so here's my ask of you is what we're interested in doing at this point is seeing where are we starting to hear similarities or repetition, right? Where is there some energy in, at least in the small groups, around some idea that maybe 2 or 3 or 4, or maybe everybody in your group sees as an opportunity. And that's what we want to start to capture up here. And I just want to remind you again, everybody's ideas are going to make its way to our partners, because we're at the end of our exercise, we'll collect the cards. So even if your thing on your card doesn't make it up here, rest assured that all of those ideas get passed on to our partners. So with that, what I'll ask is, my hope is that we can do this in a pretty succinct manner. I'll ask somebody from each group to share out what was like a theme, if any, that you heard in your group. And if maybe you could just share that in like a couple of words or a short phrase. So not like a whole paragraph or a book or a memoir here, but like a few words, a short phrase that sort of captures, here's something that we heard some energy around in our small group. And we're gonna capture those up here. Okay, so we're just gonna raise your hand if you wanna share out for your group. I'll call on you. I'll try to repeat what's said back into the mic so the room can hear it. And we'll try to do this as quickly as we can. Yes, sir.
I would say a large concern was just lack of communication in that how am I, as a citizen, supposed to know how the city and council are supposed to work together, or the city and county are supposed to work together to fix the dropping graduation rates? I mean, increasing graduation rates, but dropping literacy rates within the USD 259 without the information of how they can work together to accomplish that. So I guess the commonality that I am hearing is I can't fix your lack of communication because you haven't communicated enough to be able to tell you.
Okay, I'm going to attempt to paraphrase, and if I get something wrong, just let me know, okay? So what I'm hearing here is that there's a theme around like communication. We need to better understand where and how the entities are or aren't collaborating to even know how to contribute.
The better is if you truthfully wanted me to come here with a proposal on how the USD 259 and county and city should work together, then I should have been asked this question prior to tonight so that I could have been met with people, talked with people, because I'm not going to know that hey, the fire department could actually take over the role of the animal control department. I heard that over there. I love the idea. I'm not going to know if they can do that role, but what I can say is we have a $2 million budget shortfall coming up. I don't know how we're going to accomplish that, so I can't come in here and say we should collaborate together with the county, because how are we going to do that? That's what we're expecting from you.
Great, thank you. Okay, let's get some more ideas up here. Yes, Bill, is it Bill?
All right, I'm just going to read what, is this on? Can you hear me?
No, I don't think it's on.
How do I turn it on?
It's on.
Okay, I think we should
Is it
be on now.
I don't think, hello? Is it on? I'm trying. Okay, I'll just try to talk loud because I don't think this is on.
Folks to hear, so they can hear you on those screens. This is
Oh, okay. What is Wichita doing to ensure that every Wichitan picked up by ICE, HSI, or any other federal entity receives due process? And please provide a list of every individual removed from Wichita by ICE, HSI, or any other agency in 2025. The collaboration would be between city government and Wichita Police and any other federal agencies.
beautiful.
Okay. Thank you for that. What's the best way for us to capture that up here in like 3 or 4 words?
How are the city and the county going to collaborate to protect our immigrant community?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, let's keep moving. Let's go. Glasses, one with the glasses right here. Do we have the microphone?
I don't need a microphone.
Yeah, let's use the mics. I think the mics are primarily for folks who are listening to the live stream.
So our group went from 4 to 6 to 8, so I have a couple things, if that's
Okay,
all
great.
right.
Thank
One
you.
was collaborating between all agencies for increased mental and health care, mental health and health care.
Mental health and healthcare. Okay.
Eliminate the unfilled WPD and SRO positions to open up budget. Combine 259 and the elections office so the money goes to schools and not private entities, so all the schools would be voting locations. Joint task force for foster care and services, and that would also be collaboration between city, county, and 259.
Okay, we're going to help out. We're going to help out Emily here real quick, and we got mental health and health care.
Combine elections at 259 or public buildings so that the tax dollars that go into elections go into our schools instead of private entities.
Okay, and then were there a couple more there?
Task force with all agencies, city, county, 259 for foster care and wraparound services.
Great, joint task force for foster care and wraparound services. Did we get them all? Wonderful, thank you. In the back with the beautiful sunflower shirt.
So I believe that part of the biggest problems that we face in our county and in our nation have to do with the breakdown of the family. So how are we going to support families to help them support themselves? How are we providing services for families to be able to stay together, to create those bonds within their family so that they're ready to be well-adjusted citizens?
Yeah, great, thank you. Supporting families. Okay, we'll go over here, and then I'll come over here.
Came up with basically duplication of services, greater efficiency between agencies, and what was the other one? That was basically it that we've heard between, we've heard the same in other groups too, but those were the main
So
ones.
sort of reducing duplication to be more efficient.
Yeah, and increased resources.
Great, thank you. Okay, we were going to come over here next, and then we'll come back to you, ma'am.
Yeah, the problem we'd like to address is the food deserts. I've been a lifelong resident of Wichita, and I just noticed like all the little Dillon stores have all become conglomerate, mega stores, and a lot of areas just have no place to go to get fresh food. And I got to believe a lot of the reason is the small grocer can't compete with the large stores just because of scale. And also they probably are in areas where maybe they have higher losses due to theft. So why can't we, the agents, or the government, and the USD 259 cooperate to help reduce our costs by maybe providing volunteers from the school to help work in the store and learn the skill of retail, stocking, and those things, and also provide subsidies through a grant to kind of help those grocers that, boy, if I just was making 1% more, 1% less theft, well, hey, we're going to kind of guarantee that you're going to make some money on this thing. Also providing low-cost loans for their initial building setup. Also researching those buildings in town that have been boarded shut. Are they usable for a small store? Because we've got a lot of needy people with a lot of empty buildings and not a lot of groceries.
Thank you. Okay, so we've got food deserts up here. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, the community, how USD and other parts of the community, the city, the county, it's top down. They're telling their people how they're going to do their business. USD 259, they've never asked. I've worked 7 years. They don't ask how we can do our jobs better or anything else. Everything comes from the top and is pushed down. If they ask from bottom up, we're going to have much stronger systems. We can combine USD 259 pays for student to bring kids to school. 70 buses twice a day come to Northeast Magnet. Some of those buses lots of those buses, 2 or 3 kids get off of. The buses are told to go twice around in our communities. It's so inefficient. If we combined with the public transportation system, with our school system, we'd save millions of dollars, and a lot of people now would have public transportation that they don't have. But it's all about being bottom up. You have to come into the communities. You have to start asking about the food security. We can do a lot of things. We could have farmer co-ops. We can do a lot of things. But you're not asking. It takes a long time. It takes a place to meet. It takes a commitment, and you have to ask.
Thank you. I think I heard 2 distinct things there, so I just want to check. So one theme that I heard was around this sort of, I'll say, more bottom-up opportunities for like direct engagement in the community. And then I also heard you talk about public transportation. So is that one, public transportation, something specifically you were naming as well? That's one. Yeah. Great. Sure.
1940s in the cities, they had gardens every couple of blocks. We're so top down that we're not coming up with any solutions. How we design our communities, they don't have places for gardens, they don't have parks. There's nothing for us to come together with.
Yeah.
We have a council, food farm council. Can you write that on there to make sure that it's...
Okay, thank you. Yes.
We went at this a little different direction, and so we just took a topic, public safety. How do the city and the county collaborate together? Is it better to have separate services, or would combined services be better? And then tying it in with 259 is looking at a Future Ready Center that's, I don't know if this is the right title, but like a community justice training center. It's where high school students have the ability to train up in any kind of profession that's underneath that umbrella, whether it's police, fire, EMS, public defenders, like having the ability for them to engage while they're in high school so they begin to learn those skills. And we talked about that technical skills are really important. A lot of students don't go on to university study, and we need to be getting our students ready to go into the workforce. And in addition to that, it's creating that culture of service again, that people want to be in the service sector jobs. And we also talked about it, the topic, Safe for Water. There's not a definition of growth here with a finite natural resource. Commissioner Beatty knows I'm pretty passionate about this topic, that the city and the county would work together to create responsible growth for Wichita, Sedgwick County, and all the wholesale water customers, determining with our finite resource what is realistic growth, and then tying that with the school district, with the Future Ready Centers, creating like a public works Future Ready Center where students can learn plumbing, electrical, infrastructure, all those things, so that we do have a workforce that is ready to go and encouraging public service again.
Yeah, thank you. So I heard in there public, oh, did you have? Yeah, yeah, please do.
So great ideas, and I would like to say that the Future Ready Centers are focusing on that a lot of times. Part of the bond issue was for a new number 4 Future Ready Center for construction trades. So as most of you guys know me, I'm a general contractor, so learning about energy, electrical, plumbing, all of the different building trades was going to be part of that. East High currently has a very robust program for that, if you're interested in learning more about that. But also our CTE pathway programs, which are open to all high school students. We do have a fire and safety program. We do have some of the entities that you talked about already in, they're not the Future Ready Centers, but they're part of the CTE programs already there. So, but look for more robust, more programming on that. We are developing more of those, so great point. Yes, me too.
Okay, let's get some more groups responses up here. Yes, ma'am.
Collaborate on an art eco job environment. So we have great art teachers, we have great, Final Friday, First Friday, whatever you want to do, but it could be a huge eco driver if Wichita was a place where we grew up amazing artists. Work together to fund truancy enforcement. Attendance is a huge issue, and we stopped prosecuting truancy like 15 years ago, and so there's no teeth to the truancy laws, period, in Wichita. Collaborate on schools and parks, allowing parks facilities to be used off hours, such as gyms and pools in the summer. Cooperative lawn care, by the way, Woodland Elementary has a garden for food you can take. It's gonna close.
So we got art, eco, job, environment. There was an idea around addressing truancy, right? And then I think I heard something around how we use public spaces.
Yeah, schools and parks collaborating in maintenance of large grass spaces.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anybody gets it for free, but we can all join together and do the thing. Better use of the facilities. Yeah, and facilities, yeah.
Okay, I'm giving Emily just a moment to get caught up here.
Yep.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, let's go Bill, and then...
Hey, how can these three entities, excuse me. Hey, everybody at home. How can these three entities deal with climate change, global warming? What are they going to do? How are they going to react?
Great, thank you. Right behind, we'll go to you, ma'am, and then we'll go to you in the back corner there, okay? Coming to you next.
A great opportunity to collaborate between all three entities would be to share names of those who utilize the services at an irregular higher amount. So like maybe families who are chronically behind on their water bill. They might also be in need of mental health services because they're struggling. It might explain the school absences, behaviors children are having at home. So the city, the county, and the school could collaborate and work together to work with those families. And then same with like the families who utilize a lot of EMS calls. This could indicate their need for other services, issues they may have with transportation, things like that. So sharing high utilization members together with a purpose to help serve them. I'm a social worker too, by the way.
Thank you.
I yield my time to this lady here.
I've had my,
thank you.
every once in a while my hand keeps going up and it keeps
I'm
going all over the
sorry.
room. No,
I'm
you're
trying
totally
to pay
fine. So
attention
she
to
was
all the
just trying
hands
to
here.
be a little bit louder about it. You know, I think we've had a lot, we're echoing a lot of what we've heard here tonight. A couple things around the Parks and Rec, green spaces also came up for us, really connecting the trails that are in the county through the trails in the city, connecting to green spaces so people can actually use those across the entire county, potentially connecting into schools and using playgrounds, just a way to connect all those spaces so there's more opportunity for people to use those for longer distances and for walkability around that. And then really around just access to services was kind of a theme and communication, but there were so many other things that there were just individual pieces. So we'll hand those in on the cards.
Thank you. Okay, we'll come over here next.
So regarding the, is it on? People on TV, okay. So regarding the food deserts, there is ICT Farms. Are you guys familiar with that? They have 4 community-supported urban farms and now 37 grow-your-own farm locations. So Thomas Montiel has been working on the food deserts around this area. So just kind of FYI for anybody that's wanting to know, look up ICT Farms. Volunteer, always looking for people to help with that. So that's regarding that. Some of the things that we came up with, as far as combining Parks and Rec between the city and county, homelessness services, combining the city and county with that, Public Works, combining city and county, and public safety, fire and police, and also road maintenance. Jamie? So we talked about maybe cutting the fat, cutting some of the administration with some of the school districts and getting the money back to the teachers and the classrooms. And also combining the school districts as well. Instead of having so many school districts, combining the school districts. 259 and surrounding areas as well.
Thank you so much. Yes, yes, please.
Okay, to address the reducing administrative costs, at our last board meeting, we had a presentation from our CFO that almost 500 positions were removed from the budget, and those were mostly through attrition, unfilled positions, or remaining ESSER positions. As far as administrative positions, almost 60 positions were cut, once again, either through retirement, attrition, unfilled positions, but there were a few layoffs with that. So we are looking at different positions, auditing those, and making sure that we're trying to run a more efficient school system. Because I think everybody on the board, all 7 board members, support making sure that our teachers are paid a reasonable wage, because what they do is a direct impact into student outcomes, and that is the reason why the school system exists. So.
We're talking about other school districts besides 259 as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a quick update on 259 as far as that goes. They have a hard job.
Okay, are there other small groups that haven't had a chance to share out yet that would like to? Okay, I'll come to you, sir, and then to you, Kay, next. To the boss. The boss.
I've heard of ComCare being mentioned a lot tonight. I worked for ComCare for 37 and a half years. I was their last doctoral level psychologist. I could not keep psychologists. They all left. And when I was gone, they got rid of the position. Part of the issue, and I think this affects teachers as well, is that staff is overwhelmed and not nurtured enough. So how can they do an effective job and not be blamed for the ills of the community if they themselves are punished? That's one point. Another area I think is of concern is the presidential edict of teaching a certain type of education and leaving out other types of communities, not being able to talk about race, DEI, that. What does that do to students? What does that do to students who are our minority group? They don't exist in the eyes of the education system that is propagated, again, from above. So if they don't exist, then school is not relevant to them. Tessiah Coates wrote a book called Between the World and Me, and he said they were teaching French in school, and I'm on the streets. What does that mean to me? And if I have a history of family members who have been enslaved and we can't discuss that, the issue is that's a cancer of the soul. And if that is not addressed, our societal problems will continue and continue and continue. We can't sweep that under the rug and expect to be a better America.
Thank you.
Most of the things that our group talked about have been addressed. The one that is kind of an outlier, and we don't have specifics, but we did acknowledge that each of these areas are recipients of taxpayer dollars. And if there's an opportunity to leverage one another in the sense of how those dollars are being spent and allocated, and perhaps even an allocation, a greater allocation to education.
Great, thank you. Okay, yes, ma'am.
What she said.
Thank you. Okay, any last call for any groups that haven't gone that would like to? Got something? Yeah, please.
Sorry I didn't mention it earlier, but I'm old and forgetful, but a lady over in our group had a genius idea concerning food deserts, and that is kind of an extension of the food trucks you see around. What if you had a school bus, for instance, fitted out with refrigeration, and it was a traveling grocery store that went to different areas, and you could serve all the food we got from the food bank and the people in the raising the foods, but and on a regular schedule so people would know, hey, Tuesday I could go get some fresh stuff.
Great, thank you. Did I see another hand over here somewhere? I thought maybe I saw another hand in this area, right? Okay, yes, sir.
I would like to see the city, county, and these district school speak with one voice in support of USD 5.9 against vouchers. I mean, this is a problem that's going to take money away from public education, which is really the support of is the main part of our democracy.
Great. School vouchers. Great, thank you. Okay, last call. We've got a lot of great themes up here. Okay, I want to give an opportunity if any elected officials in the room want to respond to anything they've heard. No expectation to do so, and just for all of us, if there aren't any responses at this moment, not to take that as a sign of disinterest in anything that's been said. I just want to make sure that I'm creating that opportunity if they want it. And recognizing that we probably won't be able to tackle and respond to all 27 of the great ideas we populated up here.
Yeah, I think, and this doesn't pertain to your list up here, but I think the big elephant in the room right now is that we were expected to come and collaborate on these issues, and you just said elected officials don't feel any pressure to respond to any of this, and everyone in the room is here because we wanted answers and a discussion, a dialogue with our elected officials. And so I think that we can't exit without acknowledging that elephant in the room.
Thank you.
You just mentioned that this is our house, and actually it's not. It's everyone's house. So this is City Hall. This actually belongs to all of you. And this space is usually dark for 6 days out of the week. Only on Tuesdays does this space get utilized for our city council meetings. And so I'd like to acknowledge the very first thing. We provided a space that has been available to all of you, but we wanted to convene everyone so that we could be solution-oriented. And we knew that Kansas Leadership Center is about the idea of leadership being an activity, not a title, not the titles that we three have in community, but really have the opportunity to actively listen. And we hear you. We hear that there are a lot of challenges and concerns, but we also have heard a lot of really great ideas of possibly how can city and county work together, or how can city and USD 259 work together, or how can city, county, and USD 259, all three of us work together. That space has not been available in the past. And so just convening, this is a first for our community to actually have these three bodies together. And I'd just like to acknowledge that I think we need more of these types of spaces where we are utilizing a public asset. And so one basic level is we have invited USD 259 to give progress reports about what's happening at USD 259 during our council meetings. We now have on the calendar 4 en banc meetings. So if you don't know what an en banc is, it's basically the 7 electeds from the city and the 5 electeds from the county actually come together, sit down together, and have a meeting together about possible solutions to further some of the ideas that you guys have all also brought up. So know that that's the next step. The next step, we wanted to really actually listen to you guys, and really the whole idea is, again, have that collaborative spirit of listening to one another, coming up with solutions that will get better when more people interject and make that solution much more, not just inclusive, but rather how can we actually get to moving and progressing together. So I just would like to acknowledge, first and foremost, thank you, KLC, for trying to get these ideas. And again, if you didn't speak, you'll still have an opportunity to share your ideas of this collaborative spirit moving forward. And know that you also can reach out to any of these electeds. All of us electeds get emails. We are out in community. We want to listen, engage, and see how there are possible ways that we can come together on solutions. And again, I have to address one more time that at the city level, right now, our focus are on crime, streets, economic development, and homelessness. So while we want to take care of everything else too, we do have some focus areas. And so when I'm talking about collaborative spaces, I think that this is one area where county, I don't know if this is a space that maybe could be utilized for county meetings as well, or USD 259 could utilize this space at times. So that's even one idea that actually can be utilized moving forward. So I want to acknowledge that, again, we're listening to a lot of your challenges and concerns, but also the ideas that you're have presented as solutions.
Okay, Mayor, thank you. I appreciate that. Man, I really appreciate listening to some of the thoughts that were shared. I want to acknowledge a couple of things. Number one is there really are some pretty substantial structural challenges that we have in the community. And it is going to require community collaboration, not just between elected bodies, but the community actually addressing some of these issues. Off the top of my head, here's some issues that I know walking in, because I really resonated with you saying, I didn't get your name, I'm so sorry, but that it was, you don't know where to start because you don't know how these systems actually can or do work together. And we have to acknowledge that, and that's part of what I hope to accomplish today is, I'm 2.5 years into office. I'm still learning how these systems can collaborate together. So here's some things that are facts, okay? Just facts. Number one, 82% of the kids in USD 259 live under the poverty level. These are our kids. And with poverty, you have a lot of other aspects that impact health, impact mental health, behavioral health, impact substance use, impact diet, impact nutrition. All of these things are tied together and work off of poverty. This is a structural challenge that we have. We have to acknowledge that before we even talk about opportunities. The other one is there are some things that we're doing together that have success that I think we need to amplify. Right now, the budgets in 259 are stressed. Am I speaking out of turn? They're stressed, correct? Okay. But we know we have a behavioral health and mental health challenge. I heard it, right? We do. Teachers, do we? Yes. Okay, we do. How does ComCare help in this regard? How do we go in as support systems in the school district? These are taxpayer dollars, your taxpayer dollars. How do we leverage what we already have and lean into what we already have? We have something called mental health intervention teams. Right now, ComCare sends 2 licensed social workers into 34 USD 259 schools. The outputs are great. They have really helped to stabilize and support those social workers and counselors that are in the school. How do we amplify that? How do we do more? Those are conversations that we have to have. I'm going to say this, I've said it publicly, I'll continue to say it. I think the Future Ready Centers from USD 259 are the key to unlocking generational poverty in this community. And I think we have to support it. We have to support those things. So right now they have the advanced manufacturing, the Future Ready Center. They have the medical or the healthcare one. We need the advanced trades. We need there's technology that's coming. How does the city and the county help get this going? This is a workforce issue. This is a healthy family issue. This is a poverty issue. The key to unlocking these things is education, and we need to make sure they're in the room helping guide and find synergy in these policies. That's it. I'm going to say this again. I'm looking at Ted Bush here, my friend Ted Bush, is that there are opportunities in public safety that we can work together, correct? There are opportunities. If I had a whiteboard right here, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to get out of the way to listen more to you. But if on this whiteboard I had all the things that Sedgwick County government does, and then I had all 20 cities in Sedgwick County, not just Wichita, and put all they do on that whiteboard, everyone in this room is going to look at that and see all the redundancies, all the duplicative costs, all the things that we could be sharing more services and what we do to eliminate cost burdens, but also to become more efficient. And we should have a litmus test, Mayor. The litmus test should be, do we gain efficiencies and or cost savings? If we don't do either of those things, cross it off the list. We don't need to deal with it. But if those two things are options, we should invite the community to explore these opportunities to become a better community, a more efficient community in these things. I think about fire. I think about public works. I think about animal control. Councilmember Ballard, would you like some help on animal control? I think you would, yes. I think about homelessness. I think about how ComCare plays in that space in housing. So there's just, I'm listening. There will be more follow-up actions. I promise you this won't be the last time you have opportunities to have these dialogues. I promise. But there are opportunities here, and we just want to continue to listen. We need your feedback because these are your tax dollars at work, and these are our kids that we've got to develop. So go ahead, Bill. Yeah. Bill, you're not getting any, nobody's going to blow you, especially you, Bill, because you're in my district. That's my most famous constituent, Bill. There you go. Bottom up. Yes. Yeah. You will get feedback. We're not going to solve these problems tonight. I hope you understand that. But we have to identify the gaps and then work through the opportunities, and you need to be at the table to do it. So we want to make sure that we're able to provide that space. I promise you, I swear to you, this is not going to be the last time these things happen, okay? Diane, would you like to?
Could you just repeat your litmus test real quick? I'm sorry.
Yeah, when we talk about shared services, functional consolidations, opportunities, if we gain efficiency to the taxpayer and the constituents, if the efficiencies can be found, for example, Sedgwick County Park, right in the middle of the city of Wichita. City of Wichita, you should be able to go to the City of Wichita Park's website and be able to access programming at Sedgwick County Park, right? It's efficiency. There's no cost savings, but it's efficient. The second one is cost savings. In my view, those two litmus tests, if we can find efficiencies, which is quality, efficiencies, quality of services, if we can enhance that and or find cost savings, we need to have the conversation. Maybe in the end we don't do it. Agreed. Point taken. I would agree, 1,000%. There's no reason why we should be consolidating a department if it doesn't make the quality of the service better, 1,000%. Okay. Diane? I think we were being flooded is what was going on. Hey, let's pause real quick. I want to be respectful and give Diane an opportunity, then turn it back over to finish. But Mike, thank you for all the feedback that we've been able to hear so far. Diane?
Yeah, I tried to address some of the questions at the time. And so, like Ryan said, we're not going to be able to solve any problems here tonight, but this is the start of something, a different type of communication. And so, once again, I'm grateful that you guys are here. I saw a number of hands popping up while we were talking, and so I want to give space for that. But I'll also stick around. I've got my contact information in the back of the room, so we can continue to have these conversations, and we'll probably be more collaborative on this type of community organization. So thank you.
Okay. Got a lot of good ideas up here. I think maybe I'd like to give one more opportunity just in case there is anything else that was discussed in a small group that didn't make it up here. Because what we're really trying to go for here is where are we starting to see themes? Where are we starting to see some collective energy around opportunities? And so I want to just sort of hold a few more minutes here if there was anything else that was a shared opportunity that was discussed in your small group that hasn't made it up here yet, because we really, really want to capture those. Yes, we'll go back here and then to you and then over here to you, ma'am.
So one point, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, good. Is that artificial intelligence actually could be utilized to do better notes and note taking for people that are police that need to do reports, anyone in the healthcare who need to do any kind of reporting that takes a lot of time. With artificial intelligence, you can actually reduce the time. We do this at our work right now, and it has reduced a lot of reporting by about as much as 75%. So you can get people out from the desk and back on the streets again. You can also do heat maps, find out where crime is at, and actually deploy better strategic areas to keep crime under control. You can use that also with the school system to find out where the truancy is, where your hot spots are, so you can be more proactive in reaching out to the community. Instead of waiting for someone to miss school, you could say, you know what, here's a way for you to get to school. So AI could actually save you a lot of money because there's a lot of time wasted right now because things are not connected. That's all.
Yeah, so opportunities to leverage AI. Thank you. I think I said we would go to you, ma'am, next.
Journalism, we have lost journalism, and we're about ready to really take a hit with KMUW and public journalism. We need that, and the city should be screaming. They're elected officials. They should recognize that we need that public journalism. We need to know what's going on, and we barely do, and that has been a decrease over the decades to this point. So that's one thing. The other thing is that flooding that we had, that's going to be real regular. We have to start screaming. We have to, our elected officials have to be saying, no, global warming is real. This is real. What are we going to do to be resilient for the future?
Thank you. Okay, I think I said we go to you next, ma'am, and then we'll come up here and then come to you.
Okay, so one thing I just wanted to bring up, I so appreciate KLC coming, and then I do have an issue for that, but we were given days notice that this was gonna happen, and things were changed. So if we're gonna keep with KLC, please let us know that, and don't change it a couple of days before. Because I think a lot of the angst we're feeling in this room is because it was changed, and we weren't prepared and in a mindset to accept it as much as we could have. Second thing I would like to say is that our special education is abysmal in WPS. We have taken away so many programs that students need. You want to talk about behaviors? It's because needs are not being met of children. So stop taking our funding from things that are important for administration, please.
Thank you. And I appreciate the naming the communication and timeliness of it. Yes, sir, right here. Mike is coming your way.
So just want to do a quick scan. I might be one of the youngest people in this room. So I mean, I'm just, so I've lived in Wichita most of my life. I went away in my 20s to get an education. And yeah, sorry, I'll so all of these issues, and I'm so grateful to be a part of this conversation. All of these issues require conversation. And what I wanted to say is when we start talking about the future, when we start talking about the things that we're going to face, it's going to require more communication than just yelling. I don't want to be I don't want my family to be required to sift through the yelling. And I don't know how to do that with the way things are. And it scares me. And so I hope that as we have these conversations, as we continue to grow together, that we can figure out solutions with across political spectrums, across every single way that we interact with each other. I don't want to get in a screaming match with anyone. So a little bit about me. I recently moved back to Wichita, and went back to school to pursue a degree in economics to make sure that the things that we're doing work for the future. The goal for my degree is to run for office to help ensure the future is going to be successful. And that is going to require collaboration, cooperation, communication. And so I wanted to thank all of you for this time, for this opportunity. And can we try to figure out a way to move into the future, doing stuff today?
Great. Thanks for being here. I think, ma'am, I think you were next to.
Mine is quick. I kind of agree with them. I just really want to know, as of right now, what we can do, what kind of decision we can make, or you guys can make, that allows us to move forward. How can we get the follow-through that comes from this first meeting? What step is next? Because like you said, communication is so key. How are we going to continue this? That's the most important aspect of this, I feel like. Otherwise, it's all moot.
Are you getting an email, like mailing list of some sort, or how does?
Good.
I mean, don't you guys
We-
all have your own communication strategy?
Yeah, we could do that, yeah. What, can we answer that first? I think we gotta answer that first.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. You can, let's answer that first and we'll come right back, because that's an important question.
So yes, we can. We'll get a page out on the desk back there if there anyone who wants to leave their email address for some follow-up from tonight. Just write legibly, please, so we can send it to the right email address. And then all KLC will sort of we'll work with you all to determine what information to share when and what format. But yeah, we'll have an opportunity to share your email address if you want some follow-up from tonight.
I'll give it.
And do you want to address that?
One of the things, there's people around the room that are taking notes. What they're trying to accomplish for us is to grab the themes that emerge. They're going to email a collaborative list to us, myself, the mayor, and Diane. And then what's going to happen is we're each going to take it back to our elected bodies. We do not speak for our elected bodies. We speak as individual electeds. So we'll take it back and have collaborative conversations with our elected bodies and see if there's some initiatives that we can work on now. And then the next thing, the mayor and I kind of talked about, hey, maybe this is an en banc conversation that we bring the city in and we have more of a collective en banc, a broader table to where we can actually engage these conversations. So KLC is taking all the notes, they're going to collaborate it. We're going to take it back to our elected bodies. There's county managers here, city manager is here, Diane is here, and they're doing a good job with other elected school board members. And then we're going to figure out the path to move it forward. But you have my word. This will not be the last time we have collaborative conversation, I promise. These themes are going to continue, so.
So I'm not sure how this will be received, but I just was thinking about communication being a huge thing, right? We all need. And the city and the county have done this for a long time, and you've done on-box, sorry, that was a new word for me. And this school district is being brought in sort of for the first time, and whoop whoop, because that's so needed. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Way to go. And so as I'm thinking of barriers to communication, right? Y'all get paid full-time. Well, you get paid full-time, but your city council people get paid part-time. Diane's a volunteer. So how are we asking for school board the $1 billion budget versus the $700 million and the I don't know your budgets all, but I'm just saying the biggest budget gets nothing. And so how do we ask them to contribute and engage and do this huge work when we pay them as a community zero? And we actually force them to prove to us that they don't make any money. So I'm just saying, let's make space as a community to actually spend some of our dollars getting the communication ability and engagement that we can actually get these solutions and get our lead. And I'm not saying, oh, let's put more admin, right? We all get it, right? We don't want more admin, but when you pay, okay, that's not the right phrase. I'm just saying, if you're asking for more engagement, more leadership, more communication, you've got to make room in people's lives to do that, and that means paying them. So, sorry if that's like the wrong thing today.
Good, thank you. Yes, let's go right back here, and then we'll come up to you next, and then we'll try to get the rest of you in. I do want to just note that we've got about 15 minutes left. So we'll try to get as many more comments in as we can with the time that we have left.
I'll be
Yes,
concise. One of the other things our group talked about was we all come from different places, different ideologies, different political parties. Some have kids, some don't. Some are elderly, some are young. What are the things that we can agree on? And a great way to find that out is with this whole list, creating some sort of survey so we could prioritize the things. You'll get a much better idea of what we do agree on instead of us talking about all the things we don't agree on.
Okay. Thank you. Down here.
We are so top heavy. I know that was said once before, but we never talked about public safety and the police and so forth. I mean, I'm seeing on Nextdoor every night there's shootings. I'm scared to walk out of my house at night. Our cars are getting broken into. If we weren't so top heavy in assistance, under assistance, maybe we could get more boots on the ground to police. Just an idea.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for that question. I really appreciated, again, ideas that are coming forward from community, especially regarding public safety. That is the #1 priority for this local government. And then the community survey says it's crime reduction, crime prevention. So I want to give acknowledgement that the Wichita Police Department, under the leadership of Chief Joe Sullivan, have really focused its effort on violent crime, on technology, and recruitment and retention of officers. Those three have been key areas, and there have been investments made. When you were talking about hotspots, there is now an investment in the Real-Time Information Center, or the RTIC, that should be coming online later on this year. But if you go to wichitapolice.com, there's drop-down menus on transparency, on crime stats. There's more information, a lot more information, that could also be utilized by USD 259. That would be a great collaborative effort. So I see even the RTIC being an opportunity for collaboration. So I'm acknowledging that there's so many different themes right now, but I want to make mention that the theme that I'm hearing the most is you want us to collaborate. So bottom line is, you want us to see where we can find ways where we can work better together. And so I think that that's the main theme. And that has not been a theme in the past. And so I would like to acknowledge and say thank you for the county coming over and doing more en bancs. You probably have not heard of en bancs because they were very rare. And now they're much more common. They're actually in the schedule. That had not happened in the past. We have 4 scheduled for just 2025, and that, again, has not happened. With USD 259, I don't know when was the last time that USD 259 was asked to just give a progress report of tell us how many kids graduated, tell us something about USD 259, because we get lots of questions in the city regarding schools, and we have to remind them that we're not the ones that have schools as one of the departments. And it's frustrating to people if they don't know whom they need to connect with. And so I also acknowledge that the communication will improve. One of the key areas of communication is a lot of folks don't even know who their council member is. That Wichita is actually divided into 6 areas. And when I ask which districts they live in, a lot of people don't know. So we have to get back to even just the basic level of, do you know who your electeds are? And so I acknowledge that there's a lot of room for communication and a lot more room for education and knowledge. And so I really highly encourage you all to look at, especially the pages of these 3 entities that do put out a lot of information, and sometimes it's information overload. And so that's why things like this are easy to digest, and you can see what those departments that the city takes care of and what we don't, so that people do understand, well, maybe it looks like you have fire here. Does county have fire? Yes, they have fire. Let's talk about the commonality there and where we can work better together. So I think level 1 is just acknowledging that we're in this space right now together for the very first time. USD 259, city and county, listening to all of you. So thank you.
Yes, we'll go to you, sir, and then Kendra, and then back to you, ma'am.
So, I mean, I understand that it's great that the county and USD 259 are utilizing this space together. Unfortunately, in 2025, with Zoom meetings present and our ability to collaborate on calendars, I would hope that had happened sooner and can continue to happen. My question to you guys is, given the amount of information that's on here and the first-party data that you're collecting of us, what is a reasonable time frame for us to expect answers from you on how this can work together, what you found when you went back to your people, and then next steps for some of those ideas that you've identified as these are potential good ideas?
Well, let me take a shot. Great question. KLC, I don't want to put onus on. I think they're usually pretty good at turning over some information pretty quick. I'm not going to. Could you do it Friday by 5? No, I think a couple weeks of really trying to put this together, I think, is reasonable expectation for what they want to do here. I will take that information back, and we have staff meetings every Tuesday at 10 a.m., and maybe I can talk our county manager into allowing me some space. He'll allow me some space to actually address this and actually get feedback from the other 4 commissioners. We each represent 105,000 people, so we need to make sure that I'm getting their feedback. And then the mayor and Diane, I'll let you guys figure out on that. And then from there, we 3 can get together and talk about strategy and maybe bring in our county city manager, maybe Kelly Billafield, superintendent, and talk about the next step forward. But I think that's important. I think you need to know sooner than later what that next step's going to be, because here's what happens. We get this conversation going, we start getting energy around communication, and if we don't move quickly, energy dies. And guess what influences political will? Community will. So I want to keep you engaged because it influences political will and influences decisions and allows me to find paths to get to 3 votes to move reforms forward. So
I would just say as a fan of communication, it is hard for me because I have reached out to some of you guys. It's hard for me to get an email through your guys' emails, right? You're getting a ton of them. It's easy for you to take everybody that was in here, put us in one group email, and send out an email saying, this is the headway that we're making. We expect to see you guys in a month. And then 3 weeks into that, have somebody else send an email, looking forward to seeing you guys in a week. We want to talk about the things that we've talked about. That is an easy communication factor that just allows us to know that you're working on it. Sends one email. Everybody here that has given their information has opted into that and from a legal standpoint. So it's easier for you to talk to us than for us to talk to you. So if that is the follow-up, which is why I ask what's a reasonable timeline, with you saying a couple weeks, okay, great, then I would love to see in my email in 2 to 3 weeks, hey, we heard, this is what we think we're going to move forward from a city, county, USD 259 perspective. We want to invite you back on this night. And then let's come back and hear what you guys hear, because again, you know the systems better than we do.
It's good, thank you.
At some point, will you consider putting some of us with you when you're planning on what this stuff is going on, so it's not all top down?
Yes.
I'm not talking, I don't want to be in that group, but we have people here that, because you don't have snacks, I know you would.
And have snacks. Did you hear that? Have snacks. Thanks, Kendra.
So in a broad sense, so I'm a person that's really passionate about being civically engaged. I was at the city council meeting yesterday, and that is a new thing this year where we've had some evening meetings. We need to continue those because people work during the day and they can't always tune in. I used to work for Sedgwick County. I would watch the meetings while I was work because oftentimes the decisions would possibly end up me losing a job because I had to pay attention to the votes. So if you want people to be involved, you have to make these more accessible. There has to be more meetings that are in the evenings, weekends, whatever, but just doing it every now and then is not going to get people engaged. And it's also like, if only a few people show up sometimes and you're like, we tried and nobody showed up, you know Wichita. It takes a little bit of people to get people to go to it because a lot of them are scared. They have to bring a friend. They have to bring a group. So it's one where these type of meetings need to continue.
Thank you.
You mean like the county government profile?
Okay, ma'am in the black t-shirt, I promised you were next.
School vouchers. As a public school educator, I really would like for you to write it as pro-public. Like we are pro-public, all elected officials, not school vouchers. Please. We want to be pro-public education. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for the clarification. Okay, let's go over here. And then we'll probably only have time for 1 or 2 more comments, and then we'll need to close out for the evening. So please.
Okay, I wanted to make sure and get it in. I just want you to know I'm not against any of you guys up there or any of these ideas. I'm also not the only one that has this concern because the first person I came in here, she left. She got scared. First person I came in here and partnered with actually agreed with me. I just want to say, as someone who is not in any city limits, who lives in a township, who lives on the very furthest out point that I can possibly be in Sedgwick County, I am genuinely concerned that rural Sedgwick County citizens will get left behind under shared services. So I would, as much as we're talking about the efficiencies and the cost savings, as a libertarian, love all of it, but I want you to prove it before you do it. Because, and I know there's ways to run these studies, and I know we don't necessarily want another study, but before you cut us off, please prove that we're not going to get left behind, because we have just the same struggles in the rural as we have struggles with services, we have struggles with drugs, we have struggles with mental health, we have all the same services, and if you take what little resources I can go to, I can't go to the city of Derby or the city of Mulvane. I can only go to the county if I need services, and if you take those services away from me, where am I going to go? So please let that be a part of the conversations. I will keep saying it.
I'm going to steal your mic for a second, sorry. Lydia, thank you. I live in a township too. I don't live in a city. I live out in the country. My district is about 65% of my constituents live in the city of Wichita. I also have Mays. I have Park City. I have Valley Center. I have Keachai. I have Sedgwick, and all the unincorporated areas of those. So what happens in the county is certainly part of my purview and making sure that services are impacting the entire citizens in Sedgwick County. You will, I promise you, if I leave you out, I'm leaving my family out, and that's not going to happen.
Okay, I think we'll take last comment right here, and then we will close out for this evening. Thank
I wanted just to add something in terms of AI. AI, in a sense, does not have a soul. There was a book called Weapons of Math Destruction, where an algorithm just ripped apart communities. So in a sense, we need what's called a reflective equilibrium, which means our policies should be in keeping with values, with our values of caring about people, not as statistics, but as entities, as living human beings. And another issue with that, which the younger person mentioned, as the older person I can relate to this, is the issue of civic compassion, which means caring about our institutions, the people who run them, and about ourselves. Life is not transactional. It's more than that, no matter what people say, some people say.
And what a beautiful sentiment to end on. I want to reiterate immediate next steps. One, I did see a pad of paper floating around that I think was for collecting emails. So if you didn't get your email on there and you would like it to be, please make sure you do so before you leave here tonight. Also, before you walk out tonight, if you haven't already turned in your note cards, please hand your note cards to either Sean or myself or Emily. We will be taking all of those. Every comment on those will be typed up, documented, along with what's up on the flip charts here, and we will share that with the city, county, and district. And then it sounds like this is the first of more conversations and communication to come, so we'll be looking forward to seeing how this evolves going forward. I would just like to close out by thanking Mayor Wu, Chairman Beatty, and President Albert for having this community convening this evening, and for listening and for responding and for starting a conversation that it sounds like will continue. Thank you all for being here tonight as motivated, concerned, compassionate citizens. This is how we create change. Thanks so much for being here. Have a great rest of the week.